to another tutorial on this course on Django. In this tutorial, we are going to be creating our very first application, or you may call it a website. Now, in this website, what we are going to do is that we are only going to display hello world message on our browser screen. So what we are going to do is that we are going to just move on to our compiler. Now, one thing you need to know over here. Now, you can see that we have this calc file in which we have init.py, we have admin.py, we have apps.py, models.py, tests.py, and views.py. But one very important file over here is missing, that is urls.py. And as I told you before, that when you are dealing with websites, you need something like URL. Now, our file that is my first project already contain a file that is urls.py. Now this file over here, urls.py, is for this my first project, not for this application. Now you might be thinking that this my first project, this app is a part of this my first project, so why do we need two URLs over here? This is because this project, that is my first project, can have multiple apps, and in the future tutorials you will encounter scenarios in which you will be creating two apps. So both the apps need to have urls.py file, and they will then be mapped to this urls.py, that is the main urls.py in this case, and this urls.py, that is for the my first project, is going to handle the urls.py from the application request. So all the requests from urls.py of the application are going to be managed by the urls.py of the main project. So what we are going to do is that we are going to right click on this, so what we are going to do is that we are going to click on copy, and in here what we are going to do is that we are going to click on this calc and we are going to click on paste. So it is going to ask us about the new name, that is urls.py. It is going to remain the very same, and it is then telling you about the directory in the my first project. We are going to copy it into the application that we have created, that is calc. So we are going to just click on OK, and you can see that now we have urls.py right in our application as well. So we are going to just remove this stuff from here. Alright, now since you have to deal with views, so what you are going to do is that in this file you are going to import all the views. So you are going to write in from all, import views. So views have now been imported successfully into this file. Now you are going to now change this URL pattern as well. So in this URL patterns, we have this function named as path, which has two arguments for now. So what you're going to do is that you are going to just remove it from here, because this is not the admin page. This is not going to refer to that one. So we are going to just remove it from here as well. Now what we are going to write in over here is that we are going to use views dot, and then you are going to write in the name of the function you want to call whenever this urls.py file is run. So let me just call it home. And then you are going to specify, as I told you, a dictionary. So you are going to write in name equal to home. Alright, so this is basically going to do my job. Now what it's going to do is that it's going to search for a function named as home in the views. But in the views, we don't have any kind of such things. But for now, if I just write in Python manage.py run server and run the server. Alright, we have got our address. We are going to just copy this address. We are going to open our browser. Alright, if we already have it running, let's just refresh it. Alright, so you can see that we have this page right over here. We didn't got any kind of display. So what you're going to do is that we'll just move back to our compiler and we are going to open views.py. Now in this views.py, what you're going to do is that it says create your views right over here. So we are going to define a function that will be named as home, and this is going to receive a request. Now what is this request? I'll be explaining just in a while. So what you're going to do is that you're going to specify a colon, and then what you're going to do is that you're going to print the brackets. Don't need these brackets, we are going to just specify hello world. Alright, so what it's going to do is that it's going to simply print out hello world message for you. So alright, so now this is where basically the request from the client or the user of the website is going to be received. Now what will be done on the request will be specified right in this section. So for now we will type hello world, as you can see over here. So whenever this function receives a request from the client, it will print out the message that is hello world. But now if you run this stuff, it will not work, because you know that when you are dealing with websites, then requests and responses are sent in the form of HTTP requests and HTTP responses respectively. So the request that is received in this function is basically an HTTP request. So what we are going to do is that we will also send the response in the form of a HTTP pattern. So we will change this very statement that is written right here to, let me just remove all of this, to return HTTP response. And in these brackets, what we are going to type in, we are going to type the message we want to send as an HTTP response. So we are going to send hello world as an HTTP response back as an answer to this HTTP request we received from the user of the website. So now what we are going to do is that, as you can see, that we have an error at HTTP response. You can see this red line drawn. So what we are going to do is that we are going to actually import it. So we are going to write in from Django.http. What we are going to do is that we are going to import HTTP, and you can just search for HTTP response, that is right here. So you can see that that line has now been removed and it is working now perfectly. So now what is going to be done is that the request will be received, a response will be sent back. But if you see the current project working directory, it is my first project. Now as the server is already running, let me just refresh this page, and you can see that we have still the default page and we are not getting any hello world messages over here. So why it is this so? Now, as I told you that we are in the directory of our project and we are trying to run something from the application, that is our project that is named as calc. Now you must be thinking that we need to switch our directory. No, this is not the case, because you need to see one thing over here, that if you just move into this directory that is calc, then in this top directory, that is the my first project directory, we have the manage.py file that is right over here that is dealing with our server. So if we just switch on to this directory, then we are going to just skip the controller part and our server is not going to run. So we are going to remain in the very same directory, that is the directory of our project, that is my first project. But now what is missing over here is that we do not have provided a mapping to the urls.py of the project. Now when I was copying the file from the my first project, in which I was copying the urls.py and pasting it into the files of the calc right over here, that is urls.py, I told you something, that all the mappings of urls.py in any application are going to be a part of this urls.py of my first project. So what we are going to do is that we are going to open urls.py of my first project. As you can see that we have this line drawn over here. So in here, what we are going to do is that we are going to just remove this and we are going to provide a mapping. Now, how is this mapping going to be provided? What we are going to do is that we are going to actually include, and we are going to write in the name of our app. So we are going to write in calc.urls. So what it's going to do, we are going to enclose it in quotation marks as well. Alright, so now calc.urls is basically a part of the urls.py of the project. So now it is going to run, but since you can see that we have a red line drawn right at this include, so what we need to do is that we need to include this as well. So I will just, let me just remove this stuff from here first. Alright, now what I'm going to write in for including this is that I'm going to write in right over here from Django.urls import path, as well as I'm going to include, or let's just skip this thing from here since we already have Django.urls over here and we have already imported path over here. So I will just put a comma over here and I will just write in include over here. You can also do it like you will just copy this stuff from here, paste it right over here, and you can just remove it from here. But that is not a good approach. You can do it like this. You'll just place a comma over here and just specify this include over here. So now this include is basically right over here. So now since my server is running, so I don't need to run it again, I will just move on to this page, refresh the browser. And as you can see right over here that the hello world message is being displayed on my screen. So I believe you have understood all the stuff going on so far. Let me just give you a quick recap of what we have done so far. So what you need to do first is that you need to go to calc, and in that you need to create a file named urls.py, which you will get it from the project files in which we already have urls.py. All you need to do is that you need to copy it into the files of the application. So we copied these files. Now what you have to do is that you have to specify the view you want to refer, but to specify that view you have to first import all the views. So I just type in from all import views, so all the views were imported. So in here the first argument is going to be empty. The second argument is going to be the name of the function, or you can call it a view. So the second argument is going to be the name of the view you want to call in whenever this urls.py is run. And then you have to specify the name equal to home. Then let's just Control-Z it. Alright, so what it's going to do is that it's going to then go to views.py and it is going to start searching for the function named as home. So it found it right over here. It received the request right in the arguments of this function named as home. Or you don't need to have call it a function, you can call it a view in Django. So this view was waiting for a request. It received that request in the form of an HTTP request. So since it has received a request in the form of a HTTP request, so it needs to respond back in the form of an HTTP response. So the HTTP response was sent, and the message that was sent as an HTTP response was hello world. Now the problem here was that we don't have provided the modeling, or you can say the mapping, with the urls.py of the project. So we went in there, we included the URLs from the calc.urls, and we also included this include over here since it was generating an error. So I hope this sequence of code, or you can call it the flow of code, the commands are flowing. I hope you have understood all of this stuff. So I guess that was our very first application in which you can see that hello world is displayed right on your screens. So I guess that's it with this tutorial. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.